Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Gonna be giving you my reaction to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference for the Crystal Palace game. It was only a short press conference really. I'm gonna give you the questions that Ole was asked and I'm gonna give you his responses. So in his pre-match press conference prior to Wednesday's clash with Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park, the boss also stressed that he wanted to move on from the VAR penalty review at Chelsea and answered a question on Wan-Bissaka's international prospects ahead of the European Championship this summer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has denied that his players have felt the pressure of being involved in a Premier League title race. And yes, Solskjaer has provided us with an update on Edinson Cavani. He's given us an update on Paul Pogba and he's given us an update on Phil Jones. So, this is the first question anyway. Hi there, Ollie. Just a quick update on the fitness of the squad. Ollie's response to that was, yeah, we've had a training session this morning, of course. It was a light one. We're looking okay. There are a couple of doubts for tomorrow that we have to give as much time as possible. Edinson trained, he's joined in, that's good. Let's hope there's no reaction after the session. Hopefully he will travel with the squad. So Solskjaer's hoping that Cavani is going to be involved. It's good that Cavani's trained. Cavani's actually missed our last 4 games because he's been out with a muscle injury. He has been a miss because Edinson Cavani has made a fantastic impact since he's come in. You know, Cavani's scored goals, his hold-up play is good. He creates chances, his movement in and out of the box is very good. I think Cavani's going to be staying at Man United beyond this season. Because Cavani said he wants to stay for next season. And Solskjaer said earlier on this season that Edinson Cavani is set for contract extension talks. So I presume we'll trigger that 1-year extension on his contract. We got him on a free transfer last summer. He signed a 1-year contract on Man United with an option of a 2nd year. Now, this was the second question. Now, the dust has settled on that handball incident on Sunday. I just wondered, have you spoken to PGMLO, Professional Game Match Officials Limited, the refereeing standards group, about that decision? Are you any clearer now as to why that decision was made? Ollie's response to that was, that's water under the bridge. You move on to the next one. We all know it's a high pressure situation and we have to accept the decisions when they're made. We move on. All my focus after that game has just been on Palace. I've not looked back on that. So that was Ollie's response to that question. No. I'm sure you told me it was third. Alright. The next question, what was asked to Ollie, was just on that. I know you don't want to get into the incident, but what happened was the players all gathered round the referee as he's looking at... As he's looking at the monitor, which is not supposed to happen. What's your view on that? So Ollie's response to that was, I think the refs have a difficult enough job without extra pressure. We should just leave them to it to make as many good decisions as they can. So that was Ollie's response to that one. By the way, the FA have decided not to take action against Luke Shaw and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for obviously criticising the referee in the Chelsea game. So that's good news from a Man United perspective. But I did say, didn't I, that it was definitely a penalty. It hit Callum Hudson-Odoi's hand. You know, he was in a tussle with Mason Greenwood. And even Solskjaer said after that game, it was 100% nailed on penalty. But anyway, this was another question that was asked to him. Can you give an update on when Paul Pogba will be back with Phil Jones? I know he's been dealing with this injury all season. Will we see him this season? So Ollie's response to that was, with Phil, obviously, we hope so. He's working really hard. He's had a couple of setbacks. It's just that kind of injury where you have to be patient and give him time. I know all about knee injuries. I'm not sure how long is a piece of rope. That's how I felt as well when I came back. We'll give him absolutely every chance to get back this season. If not, hopefully for the start of next. Paul is still not ready for us, no. He's feeling better. He's not been training with the team yet, so he's definitely not travelling down to London, no. Yeah, Phil Jones, he's been out of injury for over a year now. He doesn't get into our team anyway. This is Phil Jones' 10th season at Manchester United, so he has been a long servant. He's the only outfield player that's still here from the Sir Alex Ferguson era. But I'm surprised we didn't let him go in January, but Solskjaer came out and said that he's going to give Jones a second chance. And as for Paul Pogba, yeah, he has got a thigh injury. Solskjaer did actually say prior to the Chelsea game that Paul Pogba is going to be out for a few more weeks. I can assure Paul Pogba is definitely a big miss. Because we're at quality in that midfield without Paul Pogba. And his performances in recent months have been good. He's been enjoying the best period in his Man United career since he rejoined. Earlier on this season, Paul Pogba had an ankle injury. He was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. So he's sustained a few injuries now at Man United. I give you the news earlier on today on Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba is open to staying at Manchester United after making a transfer U-turn. He's willing to discuss a new contract. Mino Raiola, his agent, he's desperate to get his client out of the football club in the summer. Mino Raiola has been criticised a few times, and he doesn't have a good relationship with Man United. Mino Raiola said that he's got no intentions of destabilising Paul Pogba at Man United this season, and he mentioned that he didn't want to cause any problems for Paul Pogba. Earlier on this season, he made an admission saying that he's working quietly on Paul Pogba's transfer to avoid offence. He made an announcement back in December regarding Pogba, did Mino Raiola, and Solskjaer was furious with Mino Raiola's announcement because it was just before the game against RB Leipzig in the Champions League. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer suggested that Pogba could sign a new contract, and Solskjaer came out and said Paul Pogba's happy at the club. And we have held talks regarding his future. It was coming out back in January, though, saying that Pogba was considering making a U-turn at the club, and he contradicted his agent, Minio Raiola, for the second time. Matthias Pogba, Paul Pogba's brother, he gave us an update on Paul Pogba earlier on this season, and he actually advised us to sell Paul Pogba in the summer if we are to get the money, because he said he could leave for nothing next year, and he's got no intentions of signing a new contract. Earlier on this season, we triggered that 1-year extension on his contract, so he's under contract with Man United until June 2022. Pogba's our most expensive signing at the moment. We paid £89 million for him. But he has had a long-running transfer saga. He's been linked with a move to Real Madrid. PSG have been in for him, and his former club Juventus have been in for him. Said the other week we revealed our asking price for Paul Pogba, and it was £100 million. But I'm expecting Paul Pogba back at some point this month, but I don't actually know when. But anyway, this was another question that was asked to Ollie. Tomorrow marks 100 days to go until the Euros. Do you feel like Wan-Bissaka has done enough over the last few months and developed enough to put himself right in contention? Ollie's response to that was, I don't want to do Gareth Southgate's job. I feel both my fullbacks have done really well. I've been very pleased with them. The development of two of them, the improvement has been there to see. Gareth has got good options if he fancies. I'm not going to say that he should or shouldn't. So that was Ollie's response to that one. So this was another question that was asked to him. After New Year, there was some talk about United as a title contender, and you were top of the league at some points, but you have dropped points recently with only 2 wins in the last 7 games. Is it the pressure of being top of the table and being in that spot? Has that reached your players? Ollie's response to that was, not all. That's the Premier League. The pressure has not been there at all. Of course, we enjoyed being as close to the top as possible. That's the Premier League for you. That's the quality in the opposition, the quality of the tactics, the standards, the demands of the season we've played. I don't know how many games we're in the Europa League, we're in the FA Cup, the Premier League, and it's the strangest year of all for everyone. So pressure, no, that's the Premier League. So that was all his response to that. And no, we're not in this title race now because Man City are too far in front. At one point, we were certainly in the title race, and Solskjaer came out after our 3-1 win against Newcastle and said we are still in the title race despite the huge gap. He said the same thing after our 1-1 draw with West Brom. A lot of people don't think we're going to win a title under Ollie. We haven't won the Premier League title since 2013, so we haven't won it now for like 8 years. This was the final question of the press conference. Have any of your players really surprised you this season? I'd probably say in a good way, but if you really want, you can say in a bad way. Ollie's response to that was, no, I don't think anyone has surprised me because we know what they're capable of. I think surprised or not surprised, impressed. The way they handled the whole situation, the whole season, the whole pandemic, and not being able to have your social life and have the time to switch off from football. Normally you go and meet your friends, you go to the cinema, you go out for a meal, you go to a concert. Now it's relentless. It's Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. I've been impressed. That's the biggest message I've got out there. That's this year has been the strangest of all our lives. We didn't live in the Second World War, thankfully, but these times and the restrictions have been almost as harsh. The way they dealt with it, absolutely brilliant. So that was everything that was mentioned during the press conference. This is a must-win game for Manchester United against Crystal Palace. We're coming into this game on the back of a 0-0 draw with Chelsea. That game against Chelsea was very, very disappointing. There was some chances in the game. Marcus Rashford had a good chance from a free kick, produced a good save from Mendy. McTominay had a good chance, produced another good save from Mendy. Fred, he had 2 good chances in the game. Chelsea also had their chances. The best chance of the game was from Hakim Ziyech, and it produced a fantastic save from David De Gea, and Giroud had 2 good chances. But the VAR penalty decision was the biggest talking point of that game. I wasn't really happy with the result. It was better than losing. But we've got to start beating the top 6 sides in the Premier League. We have really, really struggled against the top 6 sides in the Premier League this season. In the vast majority of the big games, we've failed to score. That isn't good enough to our standards. And people say you've got to beat the top 6 sides if you are to be genuine title contenders. But let's put into the equation, Chelsea have been very, very good under Thomas Tuchel. They have not yet lost under Thomas Tuchel. But despite that draw with Chelsea, I still think we will finish in the top 4. And top 4 is our aim now in the league. It'd be a disaster if we finished out of the top 4. By the way, we've got a very, very good record at Selhurst Park. We've won our last 4 league games against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. We're beating them at Selhurst Park last season 2-0. Palace beat us on the opening day this season 3-1 at Old Trafford. They also beat us at Old Trafford last season 2-1. So Palace are looking to do a league double over us for the first time ever. We're 17 points in front of Palace. They're sitting 13th in the Premier League. They drew their last game with Fulham 0-0. Crystal Palace's current manager is Roy Hodgson. Roy Hodgson's been Crystal Palace manager now for quite a few years. I'm actually surprised that Roy Hodgson is still managing, to be honest with you. He's managed a lot of clubs in his managerial career. Like I said, Crystal Palace have got quite a few injuries. Wilfried Zaha, who's one of their key players, he's been out with injury. I don't think he'd be able to play in this game anyway. Wilfried Zaha used to play for us, but he never really got his opportunities at Man United, so that's why he obviously left us. I think they've got Hennessy injured. They've got Connor Wickham injured. Nathaniel Klein's been injured, but I think he's close to returning. James McArthur, he's also another player that's injured for Palace. Yeah, and there's a few others that are injured as well. Jordan Ayew, he's a good player for Palace. I like him a lot. Christian Benteke is also quite good for them. They've got Jeffrey Slupp. I think he's also been out with injury as well. Andros Townsend's quite good for Palace. Patrick Van Aanholt is quite good. But we have the advantage going in this game because we've got a very, very good away record in the Premier League. We haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. The last team to beat us away from home in the Premier League was Liverpool back in January 2020. Solskjaer's going to make changes in this game from the 0-0 draw with Chelsea recently. Maybe he'll rest some key players because obviously we've got a massive game at the weekend. We are away to Manchester City. Manchester City are the champions-elect. They're on course to win their 5th Premier League title. They've won 4 Premier League titles at the moment. Obviously 2 have come under Pep Guardiola. City are on, a 20 or is it a 21 game winning streak? After Manchester City, we do play AC Milan in the Europa League last 16. That's going to be a tough game. I am Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in. At the moment, I think there is some Man United fans that are Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out. I can almost assure now Solskjaer is not the long-term manager for Manchester United. But I do think Ole does deserve at least until May. I think probably Solskjaer will get another season at Man United. Whether he sees the whole of next season out or not, I do not know. It depends on how things go. I've told you what Solskjaer's got to do. He's got to win a trophy at Manchester United to avoid the sack. And the FA Cup is a chance of a trophy. And the Europa League is a chance of a trophy. We haven't won a trophy since 2017. The club of our stature need to be winning trophies. We've enjoyed good periods under Ole, where we've seen consistency. There's been some games as well where he's got the best out of the team. And he's improved certain players. But we've also enjoyed very bad periods under Ole. Was poor at the first part of this season. Solskjaer was lucky not to be sacked at the first part of this season. And we was poor at the first part of last season. We enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. Solskjaer has been criticised a lot as Man United manager. But I think he has made progress in the last year or so. We're second in the Premier League and no one expected us to be there. Reflecting now poor he was at the first part of this season. He's got us to the FA Cup quarter-finals. Will be a tough game against Leicester. He's got us to the Europa League last 16. Got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season. Lost 2-0 to Man City. Got a very good away record. Ole did well last season in his first full season at the club. Got us qualification for the Champions League. Got us a 3rd place finish. The second highest we've finished since Ferguson. And he guided us to 3 semi-finals. Ole has also made good signings as Man United manager. He's brought the likes of Dan James and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. Also brought Bruno Fernandes in and Odin Igalo in on loan. Igalo's no longer at the club now though. And he's also brought the likes of Donny van der Beek in, Alex Telles, Edison Cavani, Facundo Palestri and Amad Diallo Traore. Obviously, as yet, Solskjaer hasn't got all the players that he wanted to recommend him, but hopefully that changes in the summer. This year's summer transfer window is the biggest in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial career. Solskjaer recently gave us an update on our transfer plans and he said he's only interested in bringing in players that are a perfect fit for the club. The board must back Ole in the summer because I don't think the board have backed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough so far. Ole has enjoyed 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager. And Woodward's come out several times to show his support for Ole and he did say towards the end of last year that he will back in with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows. But like I've said on my videos before, the board has been one of the biggest problems at the club for several years. To Ollie's credit as well, he has got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he got recommended in. But my biggest concern about Solskjaer is his decision making. He's tactically naive, especially in the big games. Don't get me wrong, there has been some games where he has showed tactical flexibility, but he's got to show tactical flexibility persistently. Ollie's obviously tried quite a few different formations since he got appointed in as Man United manager. He's actually gone a lot with the 4-2-3-1 formation. Do you think that formation suits our standards? Will Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sign a new contract at the end of the season? Probably he will, but it doesn't mean he'll see it out. There was narratives coming out a few weeks ago saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future is in doubt because he admitted that nobody has spoke to him yet over a new contract. But it said, we'll wait until the end of the season to begin contract talks with Solskjaer. And it says we could offer him a new 2-year deal on one condition, and that's if we qualify for the Champions League. Solskjaer is into the final 18 months of his current contract. Solskjaer has been Manchester United manager over 2 years. And reflecting now on his being at the football club, he's gained some managerial experience. He's learnt quite a bit on the job. Ole hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager though, so I'm pretty concerned about that. Obviously, before he was with us, he was at Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles at Molde, but they're not a big club. And before he was at Molde, he was at Cardiff, and his record at Cardiff was absolutely disastrous. But even if Solskjaer doesn't succeed as Man United manager, like I've said before, I will still adore him because at the end of the day, he is a club legend. And with him being a club legend, our board have a soft stance on him. A lot of United fans have actually said that we did give Solskjaer the job too soon. Maybe we should have waited until the end of that season, to give him the job or to decide or not whether to give him the job. But we give him the job permanently in March 2019 because he did very, very well when he first came in as the interim manager. He won 14 games out of 19 in all competitions. So do you think Ole is in a position he shouldn't be in? Do you think, the club's too big for him, despite him knowing the culture of the club? But like I've said, he does need more time. He does need at least another season. If we did sack Solskjaer, who would come in to replace him? Because no one is available at the moment. Ole is our 4th permanent manager since Ferguson. We've sacked 3 managers since Ferguson. That was David Moyes, sacked him after 10 months. Sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, and we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years. And 4 trophies have only been won since Ferguson retired. That's nowhere near good enough to our standards, but we haven't been the same team anyway since Ferguson retired because no one's going to replicate what Ferguson did and no one's going to last as long as Ferguson did. Ferguson endured a 27-year tenure at Man United. And won 30-odd trophies. So obviously he brought success to the club. Yeah, mistakes have been made since Ferguson left, and that's why we haven't been so consistent. I think a lot of the players we've brought in the last 7.5, 8 years haven't been the right calibre players for Man United. But I think there's also some players we've brought in who we should have kept who actually made an impact. We spent over £1 billion in the last 7.5, 8 years. So there you go. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.